Brodes Media.
What is going on, everybody? If you are hearing this clip before the show starts, that means I'm on vacation. What I did prior to leaving is I recorded a bunch of interviews with fantastic guests, so you still had something to consume here on Brodes Media until I return. So if any news drop that's so massive and it's not incorporated into these conversations, I apologize. There's nothing I can do about it. But I wanted to at least give you something while I was away. I love you all. You're all fantastic. Subscribe if you're new. I love you. Enjoy the shows. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in to Schmoozed. I have a returning guest. His name is Marc Farzetta. Goes by Farzy. Hello, Farzy.
Hello. It's good to be schmoozed again. You know, I felt the schmoozing the first time around wasn't really up to the schmooze level that you have set with other guests. So this will make up for the loss of schmoozing in the first time around, my friend.
I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about any of this, but I don't know. Let's go. Let's talk some sports as they say these days. The Philadelphia Eagles, they play football. They're about to get rolling. What tickles your fancy thinking about this squad?
Well, first up, I know you're recording this, so I just want to say, do you believe that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts got in a fist fight today? What? That is just, I just want to be prepared, just in case that happens.
Just in case because this is pre-recorded?
Exactly. You never know. You know what I'm saying? How about the Georgia Bulldogs? All of them. They just quit. They said, hell with this. We're not playing up north. We're going back to Georgia. Anyway, what tickles my fancy about this Eagles team, brother, is so many things. I've said many times since the Sixers got bounced out of the second round of the playoffs that loss stuck with me more than the World Series loss. It stuck with me more than the Super Bowl loss. And the reason being is because those two other teams, I feel like they could get back. The Union losing, I feel like they can get back there. And they just extended Jim Curtin, obviously. So for me, when I look at this team, when I look at this Eagles team, I feel like I have a tremendous amount of confidence in Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and Howie Roseman. I feel like that triumvirate right there is going to set a tone of success for years to come. And Jalen Hurts, I can't wait for him to be now a perennial MVP candidate, assuming, and I feel like you're going to have a lot of confidence in saying he's going to have another successful season with this receiving core, with this offensive line, with the weapons he has in the backfield. This running back room is stacked. You have a solid tight end in Dallas Goedert that hopefully stays healthy throughout the season and can finally notch off a Pro Bowl type of season for himself. I am very excited. And then the big question mark, and I do have confidence that they're going to be at least as good as they were last year in the grand scheme of things. Maybe not, 70 sacks again. But I feel like this defense is going to play very well. I feel like Sean Desai has a great idea as to what he wants to do. I think he has seen film on the Eagles and knows adjustments that he's going to have to make in the second half of games, i.e. the Super Bowl. But I am just very excited, very stoked for everything, as you said, to get rolling when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, there's so many things I want to pick on from that. We'll start with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Now, there are some out there that look at the big bag he got, realize that there's a lot of money put into this kid, and they're now afraid on the way he plays because, well, he likes to utilize his legs, and maybe he'll take some shots, and you lose Miles Sanders. And now, you have some injury-prone guys out there, whether it's Penny or DeAndre Swift. So, is there a lot to put on his shoulders to be that threat? And I don't want to take away from what makes him excellent. He is a dog, and he's a force, and other teams are afraid to face him because of his ability to utilize those legs. So I know there's a fine balance. But is there any fear for you? Do you want to try and change that style and have him more of a pocket presence guy? Like, where do you stand in this?
I don't understand this argument. I know it exists. I know it's out there. But Jalen Hurts improving is never a bad thing. And I think part of every quarterback, especially if you're a quarterback that's extremely mobile and extremely versatile, I think part of improving is making sure that you're playing a safe brand of football. And this is perfect example. Carson Wentz was mobile, especially when he first broke out with the Eagles. He was an elusive quarterback. He could get out of but he never improved upon that. Jalen Hurts has improved upon that aspect of the game where he hardly ever takes the big hit. He'll throw the ball away. He'll slide. He'll get out of bounds. He'll make the last second throw to a receiver in the flat. Let's say DeAndre Swift is open in the flat this time around. He'll hit him right there between the numbers. It's just a part of improving his game. You saw the hit that he took, of course, in Chicago last season. That was the one that ended up messing up his shoulder. That was a bad decision by Jalen Hurts. Trying to get down, got hit, got forced into the turf. This is something that I think he needs to improve upon. It's not in dire straits where he needs to improve upon it, but it's just one more aspect of his game. We talked about last year, the big leaps forward. Could he take those big leaps forward? Improving his accuracy with the deep ball, making sure that he was accurate regardless of really wherever the ball was going, but the deep ball was the one that got the most attention. He improved upon that. And now we're watching him in this upcoming season, hopefully take that next step forward and just making sure that he is out there for as many games as he possibly can, playing every game during the season, making sure that he is making the right decision when he has the opportunity to get rid of the football, or he has the opportunity to get down, he has the opportunity to get out of bounds, whatever it might be. It's just part of improving. It's not drastic. It's just little things that he's tweaking about his game going into the upcoming season. I think that's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good point to note that the last few years, whether it's the ankle or whether it's the shoulder, there is something to be said about, him playing his best ball towards the end. Now, he had a phenomenal Super Bowl. He had a great playoff run. Well, you remember, we had to play that game against the Giants, and luckily they were already in. Not that that scared me by any means, those New York Giants, but I'm just saying, you put more stress on yourself towards the end than you needed to because of his availability. I just know that it's such a strength for him. I would hate to dial back, and I don't think Sirianni or Brian Johnson wants to either. But let's look at the running back part of this, because Miles Sanders no longer here. I think they made the right decision to look in a different direction. But do you feel or get a sense that Sirianni and Shane Steichen last year was a bit, not aggravated, but they wanted to incorporate more of the passing game out of the backs, but couldn't because of Sanders? Like, we saw what Gainwell did, and maybe they envisioned Swift being a part of that. But at the same time, because Hurts is a running quarterback, maybe his instincts after 1 or 2, 3 reads is, I'm running. And that fourth option, if it's a check down from a running back, maybe that's just not part of where he is yet. I don't know. I mean, where are you on that part? Where are you on that front?
I think with this stable of running backs that you have right now, and bringing back Boston Scott and obviously trading for DeAndre Swift, and then Rashad, if he stays healthy, Penny, whatever you can get out of him. And I love Kenny Gainwell's game. And I love seeing him do the deadlifts in the gym there at the NovaCare Complex, just getting ready for the season. Always good to know, hey, if you're not working out and it's not on social media, then are you even working out? One of those deals.
Amen.
But I think you have a very talented running back room. And I think they're going to utilize that. And I think that's also going to be part of the game they're going to use to make sure that Jalen Hurts isn't taking unnecessary hits. Now, what's an unnecessary hit? Well, that's very difficult to describe because there's a lot of intangibles, a lot of things that go into that. But as far as they go with running the ball, I think they'd be stupid not to use the talent that they have in that room, especially if you do have a healthy Rashad Penny and you do have this offensive line. Let's not forget, any running back, whether you're a rookie, whether you're a guy like Kenny Gainwell trying to show that you could be that number one guy, a guy like DeAndre Swift, all that stuff. You're being graded on a curve behind this offensive line because a lot of different running backs can run behind this offensive line. And I think the Eagles, especially later in games, when they're up in games and they're looking to maybe kill some clock, I think they're going to have those opportunities to get those carries up more so than they did last year. So I am very excited to see what Brian Johnson does do and what Nick Sirianni does do throughout the week to game plan for different opponents. But I don't think the run game, as far as using the running backs, not the run game involving Jalen Hurts, but as far as using the running backs, is going to thrive in what they're going to attempt to do in the upcoming season.
Okay. How about this? I just totally lost my train of thought. And here it is. Dude, just blacked out completely. That's
happens to me all the time.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
That's how I repeated kindergarten. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have had those 7 Miller Lights in 4 minutes. That didn't happen. Jordan Davis. What do you think a fair expectation is for Jordan Davis? It's a very interesting one. Probably not someone who's going to get a bunch of sacks. He's going to stuff up the middle there. Javon Hargrave, huge loss. Like, what is he?
Yeah, I feel like if he can be, and this is obviously a tall ask, but if he could be more along the lines of a Fletcher Cox, and not a Fletcher Cox in terms of all, 8.5, 10 sacks, whatever it might be, but he's not going to be Javon Hargrave. He's not going to have the sack numbers right there. I think the Eagles are kind of shifting here where they want to make sure they're plugging up the middle. And obviously what they did in the draft, they're certainly doing that. But when you have a guy like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, you have guys like this, you already have Fletcher Cox. I think that, yes, you're going to have that push up the middle, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. But I just think the outside edge rushers, they just need the middle guys to hold down the fort. And then Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith, oh, man, they're going to come get some. That's I'm not expecting anyone to fill the sack numbers of a guy like Javon Hargrave from the interior defensive line. I'm expecting the edge rushers to continue to flourish, and even more so now that he had Nolan Smith to the mix as well. And Brandon Graham, I don't think it's any accident that Jordan Davis was here, and you also bulked up your interior defensive line by bringing in guys like Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph later in the season. Then Brandon Graham all of a sudden finally gets his double-digit sack season. I think it's all about the edge rushers at this point. I think it's all about the DNs at this point. And I think a guy like Jordan Davis, people are going to be wanting to see sacks. For me, I'll take him just moving bodies. And maybe Sean Desai will be a little bit more aggressive with his middle linebackers. Maybe he'll decide a guy like Nakobe Dean is kind of familiar with running right up the gut behind guys that he ran right up the gut with back in Georgia. So I think he's going to let those guys eat. And I think a guy like Jordan Davis, I think obviously a guy like Jalen Carter, and obviously Fletcher Cox, I think these guys are going to do a phenomenal job of making sure they can move bodies and push back the middle of the offensive line and allow the edge rushers to do their thing. And if, like I said, Sean Desai does decide to be a little bit more aggressive, then you're going to see those linebackers have some success in getting after the quarterback as well.
This is where I struggle, and I think this team's going to be amazing. This team's going to be good. I think they're going to win the division. We're going to see another postseason run. They are legit, but just statistically speaking, you mentioned it, I mentioned it, others have mentioned it, 70 sacks is outrageous. They're not going to duplicate that. You lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson. There were a lot of interceptions when he was on the field. So if you're starting to get less production on paper, does that result in not a 14-3 season? Do we see a step back? Do we see a less dominant team? But they were so damn dominant last year that taking a mini step back is still so damn good. I don't know how to digest this, but that's the rough feel I have heading into this season.
All right, well, let's dissect this. Let's assume Sidney Brown wins the free safety job out of training camp, okay? Let's assume Reed Blankenship is your other safety in that regard. That's a pretty inexperienced safety spot right there for the Eagles, and a spot that flourished, obviously, last year with the aforementioned Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and he was a guy that was added to the mix like 20 minutes before the season started. So I think when you have your cornerbacks, your defensive backs right now, like you have, I think you're going to have success with those three across the board, including your nickel in Avonte Maddox. Then you're going to be relying on your edge rushers. And I think you're going to get a very similar amount of production from your edge rushers in the upcoming season. The X factor in this is even if your defense takes a step back, even if Nakobe Dean needs a year to kind of get some leeway here and figure out his footing there at the professional ranks after sitting out his rookie season for the majority of it, right? I think your offense is, I know this is going to be crazy to people, I think your offense is going to take a step forward in the upcoming season. So even if your defense takes a step back or two, I think your offense is going to be even better from jump when the season starts. Sean Desai, he's this enigma. He has been a defensive coordinator for 1 year in his career, and then all of a sudden he was, Pete Carroll's #1 guy out there in Seattle. But from everything I hear and talking to people out in Chicago, what they saw from that 1 year of Sean Desai was that he is not afraid to be aggressive. He is a very good teacher, along with being a coordinator or coach, and he is just hungry and thirsty to make sure that people are understanding and playing the game of football the right way. And look, it's a line, and you could say it's a line, but his introductory press conference, he talked about how, he wants his defense to resemble Philadelphia. And I'm like, all right, somebody check that off the PR box, because that's definitely what we want to hear. But then he talked about being palpable. Like, he wants you to be able to feel that. Like, when Jalen Hurts is about to make a big play and do something special, you can almost feel it. Like, there's that buzz. If Nakobe Dean turns into somebody that can get after the quarterback and drop back in coverage a little bit and pick off a play, or a guy like Morrow can do it as well, then I want to see that. I want to be able to feel that. If Jalen Carter's about to break free in the middle of the line and flatten a quarterback, I want to feel that. I want to see that. If you have a guy coming off the edge like Nolan Smith and he's about to make a play, or Hassan Reddick, I want to be able to feel that. And I also want to know that it's been dialed up by the coach. It's not just a happenstance because things fell the right way as the defensive line was doing their job. I want to know that it was aggression being called and executed properly by not just the coordinator dialing it up, but by the players actually executing that play properly as well.
Dude, I'm fired the fuck up right now, man. You got me all ready to rock. It's unreal. I got the goosebumps. The hairs are sticking
Feel
up.
it, baby.
I'm ready to put my hand in the dirt. Yeah, I am. When you talked about the offense, though, here's my question.
Hold on. I love you, man.
Oh, I love you too. Is Quez Watkins a part of that vision? Is he going to have a bounce back?
I think so. I love the idea of being slighted. I love it when professional athletes get slighted, and it's a real thing. It's not like even a guy like Jalen Hurts. Like, okay, fine, test the quarterback, have your doubts in Jalen Hurts, and next thing you know, he's an all-pro quarterback. He's playing in the Super Bowl. He's runner-up in the MVP, whatever. We know the resume. But I find it really interesting that of all the guys Nick Sirianni could have talked about when minicamp broke, the one guy he talked about was Quez Watkins. Anyone stand out to? He was like, yeah, you know what? I actually got a name for you. And I'm like, oh, wow. What undrafted rookie is this going to be that he was impressed? Not to slight undrafted rookies, but he tied his shoes right. When he came here, he was using Velcro. Now he's using laces. No, but the one guy that he mentioned was Quez Watkins. And if I'm Quez Watkins, I know that I had this opportunity in front of me with Jalen Hurts last year that I blew. That I just absolutely 1,000% blew. I showed the flashes that I could do it, and then I also showed that I would come up small in certain instances. What was it? The Indianapolis, Washington, games where I should have been there to help the team, and I was a detriment. I was not helping the team win. And if I'm playing and I'm Quez Watkins and I know Zacchaeus is here, I'm playing with that chip on my shoulder. Like, oh, you want to go get a guy that's going to take my job? Not on my watch. And I also think the speed is there, as we all know with him. It's a matter of him putting it all together. I think he does fight his way back on this team, and I think he does play a lot more like we thought, or at least really expected him to play when the season started. And when you have a guy like A.J. Brown, you have a guy like Devontae Smith, I mean, these guys are all guys that are going to help you just be open on the football field. And if you can beat one-on-one coverage consistently, the way we have seen him do it, not consistently, but if he can do it consistently, then I think this team is going to be set as far as their wide receivers go for pretty much the foreseeable future.
I love your optimism, but as soon as I heard Nick Sirianni start giving him all that love and praise, my brain goes the other way. It's they're so desperate to try and get this kid some confidence, and they want him to know that we believe in you. Even though them going out that far, you're going too extreme. And did somebody say Quez? Nick, no. No, we mentioned Fletcher Cox. We were talking defense, or we were talking about how Michael Clay got a raise. We were talking special teams. Nobody mentioned Quez. Well, hold on a second. Let me tell you about a little Quez Watkins here. So I hope you're right. There's a ton of speed. It would absolutely help out this offense even more. I'm going to put you in hypothetical mode.
Or he's trading them.
Oh, okay. Now, I don't know how much leverage you got here for a guy like that. I don't know, but Howie will get him first.
Yeah. And a conditional second. Yeah, and a conditional second.
I love when it's when it comes down to the conditions on if he plays X amount. The one team that could possibly get the first rounder will say in the tweet, the Philadelphia Eagles have acquired a conditional first round pick. Then the other team says it's a conditional second, as if we're stupid and we don't see what you're doing. It cracks me up. I love Howie. Howie's a genius.
Absolutely.
Were you going to say something there?
No. I interrupted your previous question. I apologize.
Well, once again, I have no idea what I'm doing here. It's like I forget how to do this. This is the microphone. Are you supposed to speak into this thing? We're going to play a game called In and Out, okay? In and Out, it's kind of like confirm or deny. I did this with Jody Mack already. He gave me his answers. I'm curious your answers. Don't know which episode's dropping first, so I don't know who's hearing this. All right, in or out? Jalen Hurts, and the way this works is in means you're confirming the statement, out means you're denying the statement. And the first one stems from Dallas Goedert and what he said recently on Part of My Take. Jalen Hurts is a top 2 NFL quarterback. In or out, Marc Farzetta?
In. Absolutely 1,000,000,000% in. Do I need to explain, or is this like a lightning round?
You can explain, but I just want to tap my toes in first here and say I went out and I say he's top 4. My list was, and I'm not Chris Sims here, so don't kill me, but I went with Patrick Mahomes, who happens to be very talented at his job. I went with Joe Burrow. All right, I'm a Joe Burrows man. I think the kid's just a cool customer. And then I'm not projecting out for the next 7, 8, 9 years here. This is just right now. I went with one. Aaron, I'm going to put myself into a hole for 15 days and do a lot of drugs, Rogers. That was mine. And then here comes Jalen Hurts. But go ahead. The floor is yours, Marc Farzetta.
Look, you could call it recency bias. Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow lost the Super Bowl as well. Jalen Hurts already. I mean, as a matter of fact, as a matter of factual statement, he is the second best quarterback in the league when you can talk about the MVP voting. And you also talk about, being an all-pro quarterback already. You talk about the giant leap he took in his second year as a starter in the NFL. So going into year 3, there is nobody I am taking ahead of Jalen Hurts that is not named Patrick Mahomes. And I love Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is fantastic. And you can talk about a receiving core that also threatens the likes of the Eagles. That's a pretty good receiving core they have out there in Cincinnati as well. But no, me, it's a 1-2 punch. It's Patrick Mahomes and it's Jalen Hurts.
Okay, in or out, Brandon Graham will record double-digit sacks.
Out. Love Brandon Graham. I know I just sang his praises about last year, but I feel like the young guys are going to take over this squad when it comes to getting after the quarterback in the upcoming season. Nolan Smith. I don't think we're going to have to wait for Nolan Smith. I don't think we're going to have to wait very long for Nolan Smith to get a double-digit sack type of season. Him, Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick. I think those guys are going to feast on the upcoming season.
Okay, and then the last in or out would be Sidney Brown will start at least 6 games.
Woo-hoo-hoo! I'm in, baby. I'm in. Because here's the deal. He's either going to win the job and play, or he's going to lose the job out of camp and then someone's going to get hurt. Edmonds or whatever? And then Edmund, thank you. And then he's going to go in there and he's going to be your starter then. So for me, I think it's only a matter of time if he doesn't start at the regular season to at least start 6 games in the upcoming year.
They love him, too. They talk about just how much attitude he's got, the swag, he's in your face. You mentioned the defensive coordinator talking about what they're looking for. He seems to be somewhat of an overhead view of exactly that description. So I'm fascinated to see what he blossoms into. Sometimes we prematurely jump on some players and think they're going to do better. For example, Kayvon Wallace. Now, unfortunately, Clemson, the position, it's like, hey, the guy that everybody loves in this city and is the greatest we've ever seen, you're that guy. Oh, that's tough shoes to fill. You know what I want? I wish I made the NFL and someone said, Brodes, you remind me of Jalen Reagor. So then when I make 2 catches, it's, you already overseeded your expectations, dude. It's a little rough, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, you went to TCU, you're Jalen Reagor. Simple as that. Keep moving.
Hey, well, why couldn't you pick Stanford?
Miss Good.
You don't see me as a Stanford guy. All right, I see what it's like.
I'm going to go ahead and assume neither one of us are Stanford guys.
Hey, Rowan University, proud alumni. All right,
TU,
Rowan,
baby. TU.
Rowan, baby. All right, here's the last question I have for you.
Go for it.
Who are you most excited for? Is it Brian Johnson or is it Sean Desai?
Ooh. I really like this.
Yeah, me too.
I excited for. I'm gonna go with Brian Johnson. I mean, think about this. How long have you known Jalen Hurts? You go back to your Houston days, right? And now you're his coordinator in the NFL. You obviously did a fine job as his quarterbacks coach, and now you're helping him run the offense. I just from a human element, a human standpoint, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. I think that's awesome. I'm more nervous for Sean Desai because, good God, man, if you can't figure this out, well, this city will eat you for breakfast. But I'm excited for Brian Johnson and what that means on a personal level for the relationship of those 2 players. And also, I mean, I think it says a lot for a guy that is willing to – I think it says a lot that it took a little while for Nick Sirianni to go, all right, Shane Steichen's calling plays. And then from jump, Brian Johnson is the guy going to be calling plays. It's not, we're going to have another feel-out period where Nick Sirianni is going to be calling plays. And maybe that's more of a statement about Nick Sirianni where that's just something that he's not comfortable doing. We'll let somebody else to do it. But the fact that you do that is still meaning you have confidence in the people that are trying to help you win. So I'm most excited for the opportunity ahead of Brian Johnson here. I'm most nervous for Sean Desai because if he is just another carbon copy of Jonathan Gannon, if he's a better talking Jonathan Gannon, then people will throw his words back in the Yeah, palpable, my ass. Anyway, so I think people will have a lot of fun with that, but not in a good way. But no, I'm most excited for Brian Johnson.
I hate Jonathan Gannon. That was my takeaway from your answer. I'm going to throw another quick one your way. Let's pretend that the whole entire league was free agency, and you're an owner. You're Jeffrey Lurie. You got the cat. You and Jules are hanging out off to the side. Who was that other guy? That Hallaby? Was it? Remember that when that whole news broke that Alec Hallaby or whatever the hell his name was?
I remember. I know what you're talking about. I remember a picture, but I don't remember the names.
Yeah. Well, whatever. You're hanging out with that crew all of a sudden.
Sure.
You get a chance, and somehow it lands on the board, and you have to choose between Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown to start your franchise. Is it an obvious Devontae because of the age, or is A.J. Brown like the guy that you feel is the pick?
That's a great – wow, that is a
That's
tough one.
back-to-back great question. There's nothing better than when you have someone on and they hit you with the – that's a great question. Now, when Jason Stark used to do it on Wednesday, it's like, that's Jason Stark. Now, does he think in the back of his mind, that question sucked, but I got to give Brodes some confidence here?
No, you know what it does? It makes you go, oh, God, I got to think about this. It's a verbal pause to allow me 3 seconds of thought, and now I've had like 15. I got it, and I need like 4 more.
That's cool.
A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown, okay.
I'm going A.J. Brown.
I think I am too.
Durability. I mean, I love A.J. I love Devontae Smith.
Yep.
But I look at A.J. Brown and I go, that's a receiver. That's the – like, if you look at A.J. Brown, if you look at the whole Eagles receiving core, anyone that can catch football, whether that's the tight ends, the running backs, or the receivers, right? Anybody, you will just line up those guys, and you had to pick one guy that said my ball or nobody's ball. It's like, oh, that guy right there. Is that AJ Brown? Yeah, he said it.
Farzy, they were up like 40 points in a playoff game, and he's pissed off because he wasn't getting enough targets. That's all you need to know.
He had 3 catches. He had 3 touchdown catches. He's like, should have been 4. Should have been 4. And I'm like, I love this guy. And look at the Titans. Ha! You idiots. Ha ha! Anyway, so yeah.
Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for joining me. Right now, people are watching this, and I'm somewhere shittered with my feet up drinking. They say on a cruise, don't get in the hot tub. Right now, I'm probably in that hot tub speaking to a bunch of people that haven't gotten up to piss in, 3 hours? And I'm enjoying it because I'm probably buckled.
Where are we going?
I'm going to the Bahamas, a cruise on the Bahamas.
You're in the Bahamas.
So this is what happened. A while before I lost the job.
Graduated,
yes, from that whole situation. We planned out the week that the show's going to take off, and it's like, oh, that's cool. The wife and I will plan out this trip. Then she gets pregnant. So now the drink pack, the nerve by her. The drink package is all mine, and now I got to go on a cruise with the wife that's pregnant, and we're going to have some fun.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's great. Enjoy. I've never been on a cruise, so I'd love to hear your report, your take on a cruise. Because if a cruise can be for Brodes, then possibly a cruise could be for me as well. I don't know. But yeah, no, you enjoy that. I hope you're in the midst of enjoying it, and I'll continue to follow this like epic fist fight between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. It's headlines, my friend. Unbelievable.
You think Sirianni can get him with a 1 punch? What if he sleeps him? Just clocks him.
Do you think for a second I'm going to doubt anyone named Nicky Sirianni? Like, for just a sec. Did you even know me, bro?
This is one thing that pisses me off about my whole left side of the family, right side, whatever way you look at it. I'm just saying that's not a political statement. That's just 2 different sides.
Maternal or paternal. Maternal or paternal. Yeah.
Right. Angelini, right? It's like, I swear to God, you guys think you're the greatest in the world. Angelini. But if your last name didn't end in an I, it's like you that little click. I swear to God, that little click. There's nothing like it in this world. Nothing.
There really isn't. And the reason for that is, we're still taking credit for building Rome. Like, that's stupid, but we do it. We do it.
Yeah, we do a lot of stupid things. We're gonna like the show. This show is off the rails. We're gonna end it. So goodbye, everybody.
See ya.